And I don't know if you know what pierogies are. They're kind of like raviolis, except they mostly have potatoes in them rather than cheese. I mean, they have cheese, but they don't have like a ricotta cheese. They just have really mashed potatoes in the dough. And this is, I think, the ultimate in comfort food. Now, instead of doing pierogies, this is sort of a little simpler recipe, although we do have frozen pierogies in the frozen food department, which are very good. But when you have pierogies, whether you have them like that or you have them like this, you have to have butter and onions. It's like a rule. But this is for a whole casserole, so we've got our 1.25 cups of butter that we are going to cook our onions in. If I can get it open, here we go. And I went ahead and chopped up an onion. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that in here. This is one big onion. I did use a sweet onion. I'll let that get started. Also, this is a good leftover recipe if you've got leftover mashed potatoes. This is great if you got leftover noodles. And to have leftover mashed potatoes and leftover noodles is even better, because then you got the best of both worlds here. I'm going to put a little salt and pepper in with our mashed potatoes and cheese. And this is just sort of a layered casserole thing. And have we had pierogies before? There we go. Did you like them? Or they're like, what's the point of this? But you have to have the butter and the onions. This is, like I said, old-fashioned comfort food.
Where are you from?
I grew up sort of all over. My dad was a civil engineer. He worked for American Bridge, and he did a lot of course, we did a lot of traveling around the country. So, but both my parents, my grandmother came from Czechoslovakia, and even though she never made pierogies, you know, I have that sort of ethnic kind of background, and my mom came from Ireland, so we have that kind of thing. And I'm not going to make boiled dinner if anybody knows what that is, because that's one of the things I'm like, please don't make that when I go home. But where I grew up, mainly in the Midwest, and then my mom lives in Pittsburgh right now, which I spent my high school years, or a year in high school. It's very ethnic, so you have a lot of different flavors. You can walk into, you know, most grocery stores and get a lot of ethnic food, not just on aisle 5. So this is just one of the things that I like, and is sort of kind of from, you get a lot of people in the Pittsburgh area that are, I believe this is a Hungarian type thing, or Polish. I'm sure everybody has their own little variety of these. But you can even go to places like here. They have fish fries and, you know, spaghetti dinners. Well, in the Pittsburgh area, they'll have like pierogi sales where you can go and buy, you know, your homemade pierogies and things like that. Different churches as fundraisers. So we don't have that around here. I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to put this in a deep casserole dish. We can start it. How about that? Yeah. You and I will probably be the only ones going. We like pierogies. See, they also do a lot of apple dumplings and things. My mom always brings me apple dumplings from one church that does that, and I'm like, those are good too. All right, we're going to just kind of soften this a little bit. We've got our mashed potatoes and our cheese ready, and we're going to get all this layered together in our noodles. So we've got our potatoes and cheese, and we've got our noodles that are already cooked, and we've got our onions. Get this out of the way. All right. So we're going to put, you might want to cook these down just a little bit more, but we'll go ahead and do it without that. All right, we're just going to put a little bit in the bottom, onions and butter, just like you would lasagna. Put a little bit of sauce in there. All right. Then we are going to put in, now I may have to read the directions since I did it wrong earlier. Okay, we're going to, we put in our onions and butter a little bit. We're going to put half of our mashed potatoes.
Did you make those from scratch?
Certainly. Well, kinda.
Human or item?
Food Club. Yeah, these are instant mashed potatoes. I was going to get the ones from the dairy section, and then I thought, well, and I did use, if there's any consolation to the a cup and a quarter of butter that we used, I did use fat-free milk on the potatoes. So I didn't make the potatoes with the butter and all that. All right, so we got our potatoes there. We're going to put half of the noodles in, right? Half of the noodles, okay. Half of the noodles are going to cooperate. That looks like it's about half. Oops, a little squash piece in there. Okay. Then we're going to use about half of this, right? Am I still right? Yep. Half a cup, it says. Okay. Then we're going to go back to the potatoes. All right, then the rest of our noodles. Okay. Am I still good? Repeat layers. Yeah, our noodles. Okay, and then the rest of our onion and butter mixture.
Is there enough liquid there to keep your noodles on top from drying out when in the oven?
Yes. There should be. Okay. Now we're going to put a little paprika. Oops. Oh my goodness, that's big holes. This is just to give it a little color. And we are going to stick this in the oven. All right. And it does look like I almost dropped this out of the oven, but I didn't. Okay. Here's our nice pierogi casserole, nice and buttery. With our mashed potatoes.